Well, two tools that I can personally attest to is one is account planning. I mean, you have to have an account plan that, puts everything in one place. So the key stakeholders that are in the company, the opportunities, the white space, the products, the, competitive threats, all of the key components that is going to align your team on the strategy and the goals for an account. That's key. And there's a lot of different account planning tools out there. We happen to use Quip when I was at Salesforce, which worked pretty well. And the second tool is just, anything to extract the stakeholder data, the information of all the people in an account. So you're not single threaded, right? So obviously the basics are Zoom Info and LinkedIn Sales Navigator to be able to really understand who are the people. I mean, in my large accounts, I had no less than 50 VPs in those accounts that I was prospecting into, right? These are accounts doing, combined 20 million with Salesforce across just 2 accounts. So, you weren't in one area or with one tool. It was many departments, many divisions, and many people. So you really need to know who are the key players, who are the champions, the change agents, the influencers, and be able to navigate effectively through the account. If you don't know those players and you're not connected with them and you don't have relationships, you're going to have a tough time multi-threading and certainly getting any strategic, substantial deals done in the account. So those are kind of where I would start. What about you, Reva?
I might add to that, Sales Nav for sure, Smart Links specifically, if I can share like a couple wins. Smart Links has helped me. If you don't know what Smart Links are, essentially it's a feature in Sales Nav. If you have any documents you want to share with your decision-making group, put it in a Smart Link. And I've had 2 instances with some of my enterprise accounts that I've learned there's more decision makers than I'm engaged with at the moment, because the link gets shared around and you can see who's looking at it. It checks the member database in LinkedIn. So it's very powerful. So I've learned there's more people who's engaged that I'm not involved with, or I have seeded new opportunities in different regions or total different lines of business because someone knew someone who was looking for a tool like this, shared the resources, and they're totally not connected in the project. And so it gives you insight there. I couldn't live without that. And I'll add like Slack or Teams, and I'll say we use Slack at Vidyard. Slack for organizing your internal team that's selling. And then I also use Teams significantly and Slack for speaking to my customers. So we may be running pilots and having regular check-ins, and I have Teams groups set up so that I can speak to the committee on the pilot more transactionally, not through email all the time.
Yeah, one other one, having like a working mutual plan, and you can do that in Google Docs or any word processing tool, but like having a mutual plan to work through so that you can make sure that who's doing what on both sides. You can have some accountability and timelines established. That's critical. And then for prospecting and just new opportunities, just the basic Google alerts. You'd be shocked at how few people have that set up, but Google alerts you can put for individuals or for companies so that anytime anything is mentioned in the news or there's new information, that's coming to you via email. And then you can use that as trigger events to reach out, based on what's happening in the news as to how you can help them or address it. And you're the first one there, and it's very personalized without having you to go out and do a ton of research. So, I mean, the tools are limitless.
And we use Feedly as well. I always like to point out Feedly because it'll definitely create like a nest of that company's content, that company's releases, the news press releases that come out, and it'll sort them for you. And it'll also email them to you and say, hey, this might be interesting for you based on the stuff that you want to know about. So Feedly is a great tool to use.
I think there's time-wasting tasks, regardless of what you sell. There's like, I'll give you one example, follow-up emails. Okay. You can send an hour and a half to send this perfect follow-up email with 30 bullets and what everyone's doing. And odds are they're not even going to read it. So for me, time-wasting task is I'm going to send like a quick summary to the key people with like a link in reference of what, a couple things that we're doing in the next step. And I'm going to make sure I book some time, right? So, time-wasting tasks are going to be time-wasting tasks, whether you sell to the large enterprise or depending on, what you sell. We all waste time in different ways, but I don't think they're that different for, you know, Reva versus me versus someone else selling enterprise. I think in general, time wasting tasks are busy work that is not what I call a revenue generating activity. So what I teach and what I practice is RGAs all day. So if you think about revenue generating activities, it's anything that creates pipeline or anything that advances pipeline. So if you're doing research on an account so you can personalize your message to them, that's an RGA for creating pipeline. If you're creating an order form to get a deal signed, that's an RGA for advancing pipeline. Every meeting you're doing with the customer, every follow-up, every war review or internal prep call, these are all deal related, or these are all pipeline creation related. Everything else is noise. So when I think about time wasting tasks, I think about saying yes to meetings that I'm not adding value and I don't need to be at, that I can delegate to other people. I think about going on Slack every second in a conversation that has nothing to do with my deals or my customers. I think about checking email every 5 minutes just to get a zero inbox. I think about busy work and administrative work, like CRM data entry. It's really, is this an RGA or not? That's kind of how I bucket it. And usually it's pretty consistent.
Yeah, busy and productive are not the same thing, right? Reva, you feel that way too?
Okay, I'm going to come at this from a personality type. I don't know if there's people on the call that have this too. I am like a perfectionist, and also from an authority perspective, if like authority tells me to do something, it's something I'm working on. I'm like, I'm doing trauma from my childhood, but I always do it, like no matter what it is. If it was like update all your next steps in Salesforce for your 50 opportunities, I would do it. I would carve some time out. And I, over the last few years, especially in my switch to like true enterprise, ruthless prioritization is what I always say in my head. And telling myself that like just getting to the end of the day and feeling like you did a lot, but you did a lot of busy work and other people's priorities and not what's truly going to move your deal forward, and things that you're probably procrastinating because it's tough to get started, those types of activities. If you're not doing those every day, then you might as well not even work that day. So I really, really try. For instance, an example is if my manager has to ask me 2 or 3 times to do something that is really busy work and doesn't move a deal forward, that's okay. I don't mind being asked 2 or 3 times because I know I am really prioritizing what's important in my book. And I know my manager won't mind either because they know I am prioritizing customers and revenue. So if you can make that switch in your head of like, just because you got things done that other people asked you to do does not mean you moved the needle forward in your book of business.
Let's talk about some things to avoid, because I feel like, you know, we talk about things in different perspectives, like, oh, it depends on where you're at in the deal. The way that we were talking about, like, it depends on what you sell. I always look at it in the other way. Like, it depends. Is this a new logo or am I landing and expanding here? Right. Mm-hmm. So those are the 2 things that I look at when I think about where am I going to spend my time and why am I going to spend my time there? But in this next slide, we're going to talk about some stuff that you should avoid. And I kind of want you guys to give some insights into why these are such big pitfalls for salespeople, especially at the enterprise level. Small deals. Why should we avoid this if we are in the enterprise space? You feel like, oh, it's a small deal, it's going to move quickly, I can spend my time on it. But what happens?
You've got to know the value of your time, and plain and simple. Like if I can sell 10 30K deals, right? Or 20 30K deals, or I can sell 1 600K deal.
Right.
And ultimately the deals don't take that much less time. In a 30K deal, they're probably going to have to go up and get a bunch of people. And it's like, why am I like, if you value your time, then you're going to have $1 per hour rate that you know your time is worth. And you know, why would you choose to hustle and grind and do volume when you don't have to? That's just not the way of the enterprise. So I mean, it really does come down to time, and we only have 24 hours in a day. So where do you want to spend it? I don't know about you, but I'd much rather spend it on some deals that are going to get me to 300 or 400% of quota than scraping and clawing to maybe hit quota through more small deals. And I did that for many years, and it didn't work out so well. So I shifted my focus, and then, you know, and then the results changed accordingly. It's that 80-20 rule, right?
Yeah, anybody that's got a tool that adds more hours to the day, let us know what it is in the chat. We'd love to hear about it. Reva, what are your thoughts on this?
I'm going to deviate from what's on the slide and share something that when you're moving from like SMB or mid-market to enterprise, something to avoid is you can sell an SMB deal by yourself or with you and your solutions consultant, but don't try to sell deals on your own in enterprise. It's time wasting in that you're probably going to do a lot of work that you're not an expert in, and it's going to take you a lot of hours to get that work done, and probably to a level that is not as good as someone else could do it. So figure out who your team is and then like be really great at delegating.
Delegation is key if you have people that you can delegate to. Let me be really clear. If you are a frontline seller and have no authority, don't be trying to delegate to people that are on your team, right? That's super
I would
important.
actually disagree with that though.
Okay.
Yeah, I would say that it's your job to figure out how to respectfully delegate and also set expectations on what is this deal and who's the team, and you are the project manager of this deal. And I, for instance, delegate to my CEO. The reason I can do that is because we've been told multiple times by him, I want to sell with you. I want to support your deals. Tell me what to do. Tell me what you need. So it's not a disrespectful delegation. And also the expectations have been set that here's the context for why I need this. Here's what I need. Here's the deadline, making things clear.
If you want to know if a deal is going to close, predict the deal. So I've developed a framework for discovery, which helps predict with about 80 or 90% accuracy whether a deal is going to close in the enterprise. It's called Predict. Okay. And can you hear me? I think I froze.
No, you're good.
Cool. So Predict. P is problem with pain. You got to be solving a problem that has some pain. So in the example of selling video, the problem is the prospecting is not effective, right? They're doing the same channels. There's pain with it. The pipeline's bad, right? The R is the reason. Why is this important to your buyer? Why is this important to their company? Get to their why. The E is engagement. How engaged are they with you? Are they actually getting back to you quickly? Are they getting you in front of the right people? Are they responding, right? Are they ghosting you? So that'll tell you, okay, that's the E. The D is decision maker, decision process. The I is impact, business case. What is the impact of their organization of working with you? The C, huge one, cost of inaction. What does it cost them to do nothing? What are their actual current costs that they're spending from status quo? And what are their opportunity costs by not taking action? And the T is timeline, find a compelling event. So if you can answer and fill in those gaps for all of those, your deal is going to close, plain and simple.